going to start with some poems and then end with a short story that appeared probably the first or second time I wrote something and it's not loud enough. Okay. Wednesday. It was a day like any other, only it was a Wednesday. The fall grass green, the sky radiant blue. This is the day she appeared, not arrived or came or showed up, because it was rather like magic. 1 minute I'm speaking to my best friend on my cell phone, the next chasing slow-moving grumpy children from the middle of the street, then settled on the stoop, basking in the lunchtime sun, when poof, there she is, quiet, curious, sleek and lean, hungry for us, so hungry. We fed her, and she strayed. Hungry, she returned and stayed. 2 years ago, I had the privilege of studying with Carl Phillips at Kenyon's summer writing workshop, and these are 2 poems that came out of the workshop. And this one I dedicated to my daughter. Cricket. Beneath the waning twilight returns a soft music, a soothing lullaby, sung by the crickets and other night creatures, filling the pastel pink princess room, complete with fairy wings, gilded butterflies, and jeweled tiaras, gems in the crown of the rich lacy canopy, which sheltered the sleeping cherub and her most treasured friend, a bear with a worn nose and bruised ears, whose fierce plushiness chased the boogeyman from the room night after night after night. Sandcastles. Like stitches, anchoring them, pinning them, or fastening them carefully, weaving a loose, broken, or interrupted pattern, or creating a movable snugness or rightness, as in the story of the bear's missing button, which slipped simply through its holes, stitched, not because the button was a required completeness, but rather an act of love. Fest or free, its utility a visible reminder of its fixedness or ability to hold hostage, reminding them, bearing witness to the simple fact that fabric once cut, once tiaraed, may mourn the disruption of pattern, or become more than it once was in a single plane. So were the children who ran ahead out towards the beach and the setting sun.
No one can hear you in the back.
No one can hear. Sorry. All right. All right. This is probably the most recent poem that has appeared in the Naked Sunfish. That's mine. Letter to a fallen soldier. I am alone tonight in the dimly lit house, not unlike one Rochester would have chosen, with windows frozen shut, uptight like his heart, fists clenched, stand firm, march towards the line which stands firm despite logic they march, row by row, ready, step by step, aim, shoulders tight, eyes focused. In this moment, what do you think of? Do you think of all the mouths you have kissed, warm, wet tongues, searching for solace, for comfort, for sticky, sweet sex, for one hot fuck, for tenderness, for love, and now, on the eve of fire, of the resounding burst, of the beginning, of the end, of the next chapter, do you pause? Do you think? Is it worth it? Do you waver in your commitment as you did once before? Does your finger reverently graze the trigger like it did me, longing to pull back? But does your heart hesitate? Do you take a breath, take stock of the trail of litter behind you? broken bits of the march, wrappers, slick with sticky bits of DNA, an appetizer for the worms. Worms who search the earth like cold, wet tongues, seeking garbage, rich, sweet, organic matter in flesh, to devour, to process, to secrete like shit, reclaiming the profane and cleansing it pure. The honorable worm, lowly but with purpose, the glib tongue exalted and yet dirty and profane, swallowing and processing rotting flesh, sucked in one mouth and expelled out the other, packed and loose, pure and fertile once more, seduced by wiggling tongues, licked sticky, lapped at and enslaved, and then consumed, swallowed whole, digested and spewed out, like disgusting, diseased, rotting flesh into the twilight. The tongue which once pleased, left shredded, left for dead, a tongue like those worms which sought morsels of succulence, shit out what failed to please. Do you pause? Or perhaps now I should say, did you? For the span of time between aim and fire is but a breath, a pause of the heart, that moment between anticipation, ecstasy, and the spew of sperm, the wriggling bearers of life, slingshot through the narrow passage, shot forth like firm, determined worms, blind and helpless, a hailstorm of bullets, determined and true. The irony, dear sir, life begins with dancing worms and ends with a feasting of worms. Fertile ground tilled and plundered, blood slick, coated and rich. Your tongue, I remember your slick tongue, trails of saliva down my creamy neck, over the berries of my breast, down to the sugar, salty, spicy richness of my core. Slick, smooth, talking tongues telling my ears what my heart wanted to believe, but my mind, never mind logic. Onward you march, yard after yard, inch after inch, driving home to that place in the field, to the corrupt reflection, creatures of opposition. Lines of believers, creatures of duty, worm food. 'Tis my duty. You couldn't possibly know of duty. Hear, hear to God and country. Oh, what fools you were. And now you bleed into the darkening theater, and I bleed no more. Teeny rooms, a coffin, closed up country house, wide open meadows, the scene of the battle, an oasis for now. As worms invade your flesh, setting up camp in the cradle of your hollow pelvis, gasping and gurgling in ecstasy, recalling my cries, as your worms raced to my bloody field, plundering me. No fortress is impenetrable, and no one knows until it is upon them the agony of life, the mirrors of death, fire, and life, the ravaging heart of the forest, touched by lightning and a blaze of unintelligible screams, descends a madness of our own, a madness we willfully sought. In your madness, the worms claim your body, returning it to dust. In mine I encapsulate, if but for a time, the fire of life. And when my blood spills, ripped from me, will be breathing proof of hearts of fire, life left by your fire.